Hi Pisces, this is your forecast for the month of August 2018. This is a general reading for Pisces Sun, Pisces Rising, or Pisces Moon. For a more rounded overview, please watch your rising and moon sign as well. So Pisces, this first week, you're starting off with water energy. This could be you, or it could be another Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female, or just the traits of this knight. And of course, this is a knight who is in touch with his emotions. So this could be a week where you have a lot of coming and going of emotional situations. Maybe you get some visits, or there's an invitation extended, or a proposal or an offer of some sort. For some of you, this is going to be a week where perhaps you're seeking amusement. Maybe you're on holiday, or you're coming in contact with someone who's very charming, very seductive. So there could be some meetings this week that connect to an attraction you have with someone else. It could be a new relationship, or you feel some kind of progress with regard to love. So something could happen that you welcome, some kind of change. Maybe you're getting involved in an agreement of some sort. Others of you, this could be a very spiritual and mystical week where psychic matters are in focus. So this is a visionary, idealistic, romantic week for you that could go in various directions, creatively, romantically, socially. For some of you, this is about a focus on your creativity. Maybe you're an artist or a musician or a dancer or a writer, or you're coming in contact with someone like that. For others of you, this is about delving into the psyche. Maybe you're dealing with psychics or psychologists or therapists or counselors, somebody who is emotionally oriented. And for some of you, this is all about seduction, being tempted by someone, meeting your ideal partner, or going into a spiritual situation where you're looking on a quest for some spiritual answers. Some of you may be involved in some kind of mediation this week, because this person is a very good negotiator. Now, if this is a love situation, this is somebody who's willing to court you. They want to woo you, and they've got a lot of tricks in their bag in order to, get you motivated to connect. Because this person is very passionate. In fact, they can be emotionally obsessed with who they're interested in. Now, you may be taking on those traits. Jealousy could be a real problem this week. For some of you, this is the tendency to want to escape in some form or another. And it may be difficult for you to deal with practical issues this week. So you may be feeling some mood swings. Maybe you're, in this up and down thing. Or, you may be seeking some form of escapism, like drugs or alcohol or sleep. Or maybe you're just getting lost in your creativity, or you're dealing with somebody who's like that. So for some of you, this is all about the seductive, a charming lover, a sexual encounter, some form of conquest, a new relationship. For others of you, again, this is an invitation or a proposal. Somebody's on holiday. And so you may be feeling some things very quickly. Maybe you're falling in love with somebody, or you're more attracted to somebody than you initially thought possible. Maybe things are moving in a way where you hadn't intended. But for some of you, this is the negative aspect of the Knight of Cups. This is being moody and brooding, and somebody that's generally just a pain in the butt. They're always in a bad mood. It's never their fault. Maybe you feel misunderstood this week, or somebody you're connected to, or you thought somebody was right for you, and now you're looking at it and you're like, nah. So you may have to confront some situations that involve betrayal or disappointment, or perhaps even a rival who is also attracted to somebody that you're interested in. So you could be frustrated because there's something that you want and those demands are not being met, or you could have some fears that are hindering you because of some past relationships that make it very difficult for you to trust. And for some of you, you could be, vindictive about getting your way. Maybe you're going after people who block you somehow. Or, you're unhappy with somebody who's acting contrary to what you desire. So you may be dealing with some dark or stressful emotions where there's some guilt, some duplicity, maybe somebody's continuously lying or they're fake. And so, this could be a week where you may be attracted to somebody or they you, but you guys are not putting all of your cards on the table. You're not being completely honest about a situation. Now, again, this could be some kind of agreement or offer that connects to a friendship or some kind of collaborative effort, forming a partnership. And in other cases, this is about socializing. You may be celebrating something or being more spontaneous or playful. There's an offer to socialize or do something that's important. Now, the second week, you have a major card. For some of you, there's a tie to a Sagittarius person. But for others of you, perhaps you're connecting to a spiritual healer or a healer of some sort. You're seeking some form of protection. For some of you, this is an extension of last week, that creativity. Maybe this is an artist or you're working on your art. For some of you, maybe this has something to do with cooking, being a chef or cooking good food, trying to come up with something and keep it in balance. For some of you, you're connecting to someone who's very different from you. Maybe this person is of a different background, culturally. Maybe this is somebody who is biracial. This is where you're having to reconcile differences, whether it's in an outlook, an attitude, a belief system. You're trying to find the right mix. And so you could be negotiating, mediating something. This is a week to, know where the limits are. Self-restraint is going to be very important. And finding that middle course, not going too far on either end, keeping a balanced viewpoint about a situation, and also having that proper sense of timing, because the Temperance card can indicate some form of procrastination. So you're having to hone in on the right time for socializing or an invitation or to go after what you want. That's going to be important. And so you may have to compromise with somebody this week. You're trying to figure out perhaps whether you're compatible with somebody or you're having to accommodate some kind of situation or adapt to something. And for some of you, you're reconciling with somebody emotionally or physically. And so compromise and moderation are the keynotes of this week. And it's important that, last week you had the Knight of Cups, who may not be altogether honest or open. Could be somebody's a little bit vague or misleading. They're simply leaving that breadcrumb trail rather than being right out there. This is a week, though, where you want to get clear. And so it may be important for you to initiate a very honest, a very open discussion about a situation. There's something, perhaps an agreement, or you're trying to negotiate something and trying to figure out what's right for the both of you. And of course, you're going to have some differences, but the goal is to come to that middle point. And so you're going to have to use the better part of the Knight of Cups in order to further your cause. Use your charm, your diplomacy, your tact, your emotional sensitivity so that you present things in a way where people don't feel judged or that you're pushing them. So this is a week of getting things out in the open, clearing speaking your truth, clearing the air so that you can have peace of mind. Because for some of you, you need to take a closer look at a situation, particularly where you may be staying in a rut or chained to people that aren't good for you or circumstances, and not being honest with yourself about why you're doing it. So it's time to pull back the curtain and look at something. And whether you're involved in a really negative or bad relationship and just making an excuse about why you're staying in it. And, in the process, realizing how it's hurting you, how it's keeping you from being the best of who you are. Maybe you can't, move forward and grow your talents the way you could if you would shake off this emotional codependency. For some of you, this is connected to healing, and you may find it very difficult to relax. Maybe you're dealing with some things that you don't know where they're coming from or what they are. Could be a rash, an allergy, some strange illness that's annoying, and maybe you even have difficulty getting to the root of it or finding the proper diagnosis or the correct doctor. For others of you, this is connecting to divine source. You're already an extremely intuitive sign. And with this Knight of Cups and the Temperance, you may be very precognitive. Your dreams may have meaning for you, although they may be difficult for you to interpret. But there could be some messages there for you. And it could be that you need to notice the magic of every day, the symbolism, the omens, the synchronicities in your day that hold some kind of message for you. For others of you, the Knight of Cups is, moody. And you could, with the Temperance, you could be excessively moody or flighty or escapist. And it may be difficult for you to focus. You may be very distracted. And so you may think something is your intuition guiding you when in fact you're not fully focused. It's your impulse that's triggering a decision. And you may start to do something that creates a problem. You may act excessively. Maybe you blurt something out, or you do something, or perhaps you purchase something and then you later regret that. So for some of you, this is a week to heal yourself in ways where you realize that you've been placing the personal bar or the standard for yourself just a little bit too high. You're making all these demands of perfectionism when you were the only one expecting that. So this is going to be a week where, not being extreme in any capacity is going to be important. Now, you may be very seduced by someone. There could be some sexual attraction, some lust, and maybe you lose control. In other cases, you don't have a handle on your emotions. You're overreacting. You're overdoing it. And maybe you're obsessed with something. You could have some excessive ambition. And maybe you're impatient, and that leads to some form of volatility or unbridled passion, a lack of restraint. And so you end up making some poor judgment. You overindulge in some way. You try to force a situation and maybe even participate in some inappropriate behavior. So this is about watching your moods and how it's driving your decisions, what your belief is, and trying to cooperate. Again, trying to reconcile those differences. Now, the third week, you have the Devil card. So the middle of the month is extremely important for you. Issues hold spiritual lessons. They may be beyond your control. And this is a week where you're facing some kind of challenge, obstacle, restriction, or extra responsibility. It could be that you're trying to negotiate perhaps some kind of an agreement. And it could be that this is a week where you're very concerned with money, overly so, or you're being very cautious about something. Maybe you're looking at where you're compatible with somebody and whether this is a healthy attachment or not. Maybe you're looking at some habits where you have been excessive that have been destructive in some way, or you've experienced some form of abuse or bondage. And for some of you, this is about some pattern of behavior that you've created, some kind of conditioning. It could be, fears driven by your own need for perfection. So you could be limiting yourself in some way. Now, some of you, maybe you've decided to restrict yourself because you're focused on healing or spiritual meditation or creativity, and you need to, be alone. But for others of you, this is, some prison that you've built because of something negative thinking, negative interactions, negative habits or patterns. And so you're looking at your fears and your thinkings. Maybe you've had to make an unhappy choice, or you've stayed stuck in a bad situation, a confining relationship, or you have some kind of addiction to something. Could be power, sex, money, drugs, whatever your vice is. You find it difficult to control your passions, your instincts, your urges. On the other hand, maybe you've been very inhibited for some reason, to the point of a hang up. You're so fearful or so driven by the need for perfection that you can't move forward. For some of you, again, there are these issues of codependency and trying to get past some kind of temptation or excess. So you're going to be very determined this week. There's something that you want. Maybe you're very seduced by that thing. And so it's easy for you to talk yourself into something. It's easy for you to talk other people into things. And that can be very dangerous because you could sell yourself a story if it suits your purpose. So self-control could be an issue this week. It may be difficult for you to practice self-restraint. It may be very challenging for you not to give in to temptation, to go too far, to be excessive. And this is a week where your instincts kick in and they tie into the emotional as well as the material. And your choices can take you either, the right path or a destructive path. Now, fortunately, this is also a week of, being brilliant, coming up with some kind of ingenious idea or solution that's going to help you. Some kind of creative flash where you're just like, that's it. And it saves you right in the nick of time. But for others of you who can't get past the excess of the Temperance card, this is going to be a problem for you. You've simply gone too far and now it's time to pay the piper. For some of you, the restriction is you trying to get to the bottom of something. You're trying to use your discernment. Either you or somebody you're connected to may not be showing everything. Maybe somebody's wearing a game face, or they're hiding their true self, or there's just a need to dig deep and find the truth about a situation, to look beneath the surface. Now, this is a week where you need to have common sense. You need to be grounded. Now, you may be enthusiastic about something. You may be optimistic. And you may, escape through some form of excessive behavior. Maybe you take on more than you can handle. You think you can do more than you can do. And it's probably driven by your need for achievement, for recognition. So this is a week for you to accurately measure what your capabilities are, as well as who you're getting involved with. What are their intentions? What are their motivations? What are they bringing to the party? And this is the second card you have that relates to being susceptible to procrastination. Taking, a foolish risk in some way, or doing some things that produce harmful results. And maybe you want to be desired or loved or accepted or recognized in some way, and you want to be of service to other people. And yet, there's always that fear. The fear that you're going to be used, the fear that you can't trust this person, the fear that you might be exploited, that they're going to want too much, that maybe you have to commit in some way. And maybe those are fears, really, they're projections. They are your own personal fears about yourself. Can you trust yourself? Can you trust yourself to make good judgment? Can you trust yourself to endure something that may turn out negatively, and yet you're still strong enough to survive and come out on the other side? So this is about a temptation to push yourself beyond your limits so that you end up mistaking what you think is a healthy challenge or an obstacle that you can overcome, when in fact it's just a dead-end, no-win situation, and that's what it is. This is a week where integrity, ethics, decency, conscience is important. And also recognizing where you may be very vulnerable and where that may be driving you to make poor decisions. Now, the last week you have the Page of Swords. This is air energy. This is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female, or just the traits of this page. If you don't have strong air in your chart, this means that it's likely somebody else is going to be making the final decision. And this could be a younger person, it could be an immature person, It could be somebody tied to the intellectual. And this is going to be, another week where you may be negotiating, arbitrating. And if you've been dealing with some restriction or negativity, it's going to be important that you try to resolve a dispute rationally, objectively. Now, that's going to be probably easy to do if you're the mediator for two other people. But if this is something personal that touches home, this is going to be way more difficult for you. You may be very defensive. You may be angry. Some of you may be getting some advice. Maybe you're connecting with somebody who can give you some professional advice. This is about your creativity, your communication skills, being mentally quick and on your feet. For some of you, you're dealing with people who are very calculating. They're insensitive. They're working for their own gain. For others of you, this is about having that honest dialogue. This is about getting past those fears and speaking your truth in a situation. For some of you, this is, you working on something creative. Maybe you're designing something. So this is going to be a week where your thoughts, your feelings, mental matters are important. You could be getting some news, and maybe for some of you, this may be troubling news or some kind of, danger is imminent. Maybe there's a secret that's been revealed or there's some rumors that are spread. This is where you really have to take stock of what you're hearing, what you're listening to, because it could be some conspiracies. Maybe somebody's lying or there's some gossip or somebody is acting like they know it all. And for some of you, the restriction is going to be some kind of difficulty with the law or legal situation. You may experience some kind of betrayal through a friend. For others of you, if you're trying to heal, you could be looking at, getting some kind of surgery. You may be studying for something. Maybe you're a student, you're taking an exam, or somebody connected to you is. So this is about being discreet, and that may be important. The timing of something not quite out in the open, being very discreet. Could be somebody prying into your secrets or stalking, maybe physically, maybe on the internet, through social media. For others of you, this is some kind of rival that has shown up in love. So you are trying to find something out this week, or somebody's trying to find out something about you. And again, for some of you, the restriction is that you've connected to somebody who is immature or irresponsible, and they're having a negative impact on your life in an unexpected way. For others of you, if this is about romance, it could be either you or someone else who is very good at solving problems, thinking intellectually, but not really the best at making romantic decisions or understanding their emotions. So for some of you, this is again, this rivalry in love, or maybe you're meeting somebody new, or you're getting closer to somebody based on that important conversation that you had, or you're becoming estranged from this person. So your conversation this week, how you connect to somebody, determines the path of your relationship. So you could be coming to some kind of understanding. If you use the temperance wisely, you may agree to disagree. You may compromise in order to move forward. You have a meeting of the mind, some clear understanding about a situation, and you get some clarity, especially if you maintain your optimism, a lightheartedness, a sense of humor about things. You may come together, but you're definitely contemplating something. You're taking stock of a situation and you're weighing your options, and they may be limited. Maybe you're focused on business, maybe you're focused on sexuality or some emotional or physical restriction that you're dealing with, and you may connect to other people to get advice or answers. For others of you, you may decide to cut something out, and maybe you need a timeout in order to gather yourself. So for some of you, this is accessed through emotional energy that's directed with too much intensity, or somebody is not being completely honest. There's some kind of romantic communication that's misleading, where the intentions are exaggerated. Maybe has gotten somebody emotionally or sexually aroused, But, this was just a game. I didn't really mean that. So this may be a tease, somebody that doesn't come through, or they're suggesting some kind of commitment when really that there none exists. Maybe they just want to get something from you. It could be, some kind of sexual conquest, or maybe somebody is involving you in some kind of dispute. They're self-righteous. There could be intolerant, or maybe they're avoiding their emotions. There's some kind of sexual frustration. So for some of you, you may start to look at somebody and you think, you know what? You're not the person for me. We're not compatible. I'm starting to notice those little things about you that get under my skin or get on my nerves. And maybe this is coming in the beginning of an encounter. This is an early warning sign. Or maybe you've been dealing with this for a long time, because the devil can indicate chronic, long-suffering conditions. And you may decide that something is just the final straw. Now, that devil could come in the form of a parent or parental concerns. It could be dealing with authority, acting as one. It could be your past catching up. It could be you dealing with an ex, an older person, but some limitation. And maybe you're trying to find a way to reconcile, to get over the past or some limiting or confining situation. Now, the underlying energy is this moon card, which has a very strong tie to Pisces. And if not you, it could be a Cancer person. Or for some of you, again, it may be maternal instincts, or dealing with children, or traveling, or emotional or psychological issues. Or for some of you, this is about nurturance. It could be food on the mundane level, whatever nurtures you, where you find your security. So for some of you, this is the creative. You are tapping into divine source. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you're a psychic. You're doing something creative or connecting with somebody who does. For others of you, you're delving into the emotional, the psychological. You're getting in touch with your unconscious mind. And you're trying to work through something that is confusing, where there's been some anxiety, or where you may have felt emotionally troubled in some way. You're working through some things this month. And there's something deep at work, something deep. Your instincts have kicked in. Now, this could also be a month where you feel emotionally out of sync with other people. Things are in flux. Nothing feels like it's on solid ground, and you may have some emotional highs and lows during this month. You're very intuitive. That's heightened for you, and you feel some strong emotions, and you may even have some psychic awareness. And your ability to grasp those and pick up on those impressions are going to be important. They may guide you. Some of you, you're trying to figure something out, some mystery, some secret, some enigma. And so getting to the root of something is going to be important. For others of you, focusing on your dreams, your imagination, your creativity, what you visualize, and bringing that into solid form with that Devil card. But for some of you, you're going to be sorting out issues that have to do with lies, deception, betrayal, people working against you behind the scenes. And it could be, you dealing with your own fears, or an issue of infidelity, or your insecurity, your doubts. For some of you, there's going to be something that comes up that you couldn't have foreseen, something unpredictable. And even though you couldn't foresee it, there's something troubling for you all month, where you feel this nagging emotion, where you may feel depressed or some negative moods, because on a certain level, you know that you're about to hear something bad. And it may connect to somebody you love, somebody you care about. So you may feel overwhelming emotions that you don't quite understand. And it's important that you take care of yourself emotionally by getting lost in something that you enjoy, taking a time out if that's what's necessary. For some of you, you may be healing. There could be some gynecological problems. Or, if you're in a love situation, this is a love relationship that somehow just doesn't seem to come together. It's like two ships in the night. You're star-crossed lovers. Or you're dealing with somebody who is a liar or a con, or somebody's trying to pull the wool over your eyes in some way, or you may even be deceiving yourself. So this is a month where you're really going to have to look at some things closely and be very honest about who you are, your role, other people, and not sell yourself a fairy tale. And for some of you, you're going to be very susceptible physically. Your emotions, your mental state is going to connect to your physical health. And so again, you may have some upsets, some ailments that are specifically tied to stress. And so your emotional well-being, your confidence in self is going to be important. The more you feel good about you, the more you believe you can overcome whatever's out there. The more you are tolerant when people maybe criticize you, or you feel you've been slighted, when in fact that may not be the case, is going to be important. This is about you stepping into the light. And in fact, whatever has been hidden during this month, whether it's on your part or someone else, is likely to be revealed. There could be some beneficial changes. Maybe you're shedding the light on something. You're trying to find answers and the confusion ends. And again, maybe it connects to your health or something, a problem involving women or children or some unsettling emotions. You're dealing with your hidden fears, and perhaps your faith is going to be tested. So it's important that you don't get caught up in any form of self-denial, whether that's about your work, your health, or relationship. This is a month where you can sabotage yourself. Maybe you go along with the pessimism of the devil. You stay chained to situations that are self-defeating. You allow your fear, your anger to close the door off to better opportunities. And so this is about you being overwhelmed. It's important that you don't allow whatever's happening with you financially or materially or on an earth level to overwhelm you to the point that you can't function fully emotionally. It becomes counterproductive. So this is a month where it's important to get in touch with that intuition and inner wisdom, to open yourself to higher source, to get some knowledge and truth that would give you inner peace. And if you're able to do that on your own, wonderful. If not, you may need to seek some form of spiritual guidance. Now, this is going to tie to the future, tying up some loose ends so that you can move toward your future, dealing with those things that you've been avoiding, things that have been hidden, things that, are popping up, for you to address. And it also is going to be probably an emotionally challenging month. Now, you have three major cards, which says that, this is important emotionally, spiritually. Aside from temperance, there's a lack of fire in this reading, so you may not be very motivated, or there could be issues of apathy or, something not moving forward the way you want, and your situation is unstable. There are lessons to be learned with regard to desire, motivation, and stability and security. So something is unstable, and perhaps it's because you're not seeing things clearly or you're still working on it. Something about the past is influencing your present circumstance. Now, this may tie to, getting in touch with your maternal instincts, the wisdom of a mother, whether you're the mother or you're connecting to a maternal figure, your emotional wisdom, psychic knowledge, or perhaps, eating healthy food, food restrictions, cooking food, it could be travel that's important, dealing with children, emotional healing, connecting to a psychic healer, nourishing yourself, issues of security. There could be some hidden anger or secrets that come out. Whatever it is, your situation is in flux. The material and the emotional is all tied together, and those opportunities are ever changing throughout the month. And there's also someone who is available for support. Although this is somebody that ends up being criticized. Maybe you're playing that role or somebody you're connected to. This is the person who finds themselves continuously in the role of supporter. It's very familiar to them. And in some cases, you may need to understand that even though you're a strong person, sometimes you may need to lean on somebody. Because this could be a month where there are issues of self-sabotage. There's a desire to move forward, but then somehow you talk yourself out of it. So there's definite movement and progression, but there's also the question as to how long this is going to last. All right, Pisces, I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, I'd love for you to subscribe. You can also join me on Patreon for extra perks. You can join me on Instagram and, of course, my blog for a daily post. And you can always book a personal reading at thealchemistastrologer.com.